The year was 2010. Bungie is gearing up to release their last Halo game before passing the torch to 343, and people are hyped.
Are you ready for HaloReach? Ready? Ready doesn't even fucking describe it!
That same year, I was playing Modern Warfare 2 and Uncharted 2, but little did I know that in just 18 months, I would experience a game that not only would help shape the way I looked at storytelling in the FPS genre, but also help me make new friends, revitalize old friendships, and provide countless hours of fun that I wouldn't take back for all the money in the world. So let's talk about that. Hey guys, Matt here, and today we'll be talking about one of my favorite games on the Xbox 360, HaloReach. So enough build up, let's start things off with the campaign. Reach's story is a prequel to Combat Evolved that depicts the fall of Reach through the eyes of Noble 6, a newly appointed member of Noble Team. Other than 6, Noble Team consists of 5 other Spartans: George, June, Emil, Kat, and Carter, their leader. Now, one of the biggest criticisms that HaloReach's story had at the time was that the characters were underdeveloped and generic. I will be going into these characters later on. However, I feel as though I should point out something. HaloReach's story isn't focused on the characters necessarily. It is primarily focused on the Reach. This can be seen not only in the fact that the story is on the fall of Reach, but you can also see it in so many of the cutscenes. Most of the cutscenes are taken up by these large landscape and environmental scenes. It's also worth mentioning all the diagrams of the maps and landscapes that are given so much screen time, which helps back up the case that this game does not revolve around its characters. They're more so like an added bonus, a type of perspective to witness this great tragedy. And in some ways, that's quite literally the case, seeing as how there are some cutscenes that are played in the first-person perspective of Noble 6. I mean, my god, even the dialogue emphasizes how much so Reach is the important part of everything.
Hit a relay to take out our eyes and ears, then stole 2 freighters from dry dock. That cannot happen here. Reach is too damn important.
Alright, let's circle back around to Noble Team. Now, to the people who say that Noble Team is a generic group of soldiers, I would say it's one of those situations where less is more. For starters, just take a look at their designs. Each one is super unique and just really fucking cool. Their faces and armor are just so unique and filled with detail, showing off scars, tattoos, cybernetic enhancements, as well as different colored armor and different styles of armor. All of this shows that Noble Team has a past, that they have been through some shit. But beyond that, this amplifies the fact that each member of Noble Team serves their own unique purpose, as well as their own special personality. And I hope more people see that now after witnessing the absolute tragedy that was Osiris Team in Halo 5 Guardians. Just, oh my god. Now, Noble Team's characterization, unlike their armor, is more on the subtle side of things. And it's shown through a ton of little details throughout the gameplay, as well as some of the cutscenes and dialogue. How each member moves, how they carry themselves, what matters to them, what is their past. These are all things that tell us a lot about the characters. Now, I'd like to go a bit more into detail about each character, starting with George, the heavy weapons user, the gentle Spartan with a heart of gold. George is the personification of like a giant wall or a shield protecting Reach from anything that's trying to harm it. Reach is George's home planet, so he has a special connection to it. He's a benevolent and kind man that brings confidence to those around him. And honestly, I just really like the character. I think George might be my favorite member of Noble Team. But enough about that. Let's continue on with the rest of the team. We have Carter, the fearless leader of Noble Team. Carter is a by-the-book soldier. He is probably the only character that is cliche at face value, but thanks to the subtleties shown throughout the campaign, he's much more than just a generic soldier. For example, this specific cutscene shows that Carter and Kat have a history, and because of this, she's able to have her ideas heard more so than others due to their relationship, and she can even sway him into going along with her plans, even if they aren't by the books. Kerr is a leader that truly cares for his team and makes sure that no matter how dire the situation is, he's able to stay in control.
Your report will have to wait, Lieutenant. The Covenant are jamming all comms to command. Kat needs your help running a counter-op. It's good to have you back. Sorry I came alone. Make him proud.
Next we have Kat, the tech whiz with attitude. At first glance, you can tell that Kat has a long service history that has left her with more than just a few scratches. She has a way with words, and she always makes sure those words are heard.
You want to know if we're losing?
I know we're losing. I want to know if we've lost.
Emil, the man of war. Now, judging by the skull carved into his helmet and his absolute love of knives, you might think to yourself, wow, this guy's crazy. And to some extent, I'd say you're probably right. Emil is the type of character where you can't really picture him outside of the battlefield.
Keep him. I gave him to you. I'll honor him my own way.
He is the perfect embodiment of someone who lives to fight, always striking fear into his enemies with his sheer brutality. Now, what makes Emil a unique and interesting character is just how much he is excited about combat, how he lives for it, how he breathes it. He lives for the kill, and he's always ready for a fight. I mean, with this guy, saving Reach, kind of a side quest. Killing elites and Covenant as a whole, now that's his main story quest. And despite all this, you know, he's able to crack a joke every once in a while, which, hey, at least shows it's not all just bloodshed and murder. He has humor. June, the stealthy rogue sniper who always has your back, whether he's hiding in the shadows with his trusty sniper or when he's in the Falcon doing reconnaissance. June tends to run his mouth quite a bit, and he's always down to give a sarcastic comment or two, and his armor is a perfect encapsulation of what type of soldier he is. Whether you're out on the battlefield or just have a little R&R, you want June there with his witty jokes and sharp skills. And finally, we have Noble 6. That's you, that's the player. Noble 6 is a new addition to the team, and not much is really known about them. In fact, the only thing we know about him is that he's classified as hyper lethal. Same as the Master Chief. His armor, well, whatever you want it to be. His personality, well, non-existent. But hey, at least he has some dialogue in the game.
Sir, you don't want to hear it.
Now, I know what I've said so far makes it sound like Noble 6 is kind of lame, not really needed, and overall, we should have had someone like the Chief, but that's not what I'm saying. What I'm trying to say is this is a really good way to get the player immersed. You create your own history around the character. The feelings you feel while playing the game are the ones that he feels as well. It just gives you a huge opportunity to get even more immersed into the world of Reach. Now that we've gone through all of that, let's talk about the levels of the campaign. I gotta say, the levels are fantastic. You got an outstanding variety, with New Alexandria being a huge standout for its combo of Falcon action and boots on the ground gameplay. Then there's Winter Contingency that gives you a small look into the current state of Reach. Nightfall, which kind of reminds me of the beginning of Truth of Reconciliation, the mission from Combat Evolved. Along with those, there's Long Night of Solace, where you board Saber and defend Anchor 9, leading up to defending a slip space bomb. And who can forget the iconic Lone Wolf mission, where you alone stand against waves of Covenant. Reach has tons of memorable and iconic moments within the levels, as well as moments that pay homage to the games that came before it. And I know I didn't talk about every level, but believe me when I say that each mission offers something special that makes the campaign worth playing or replaying. Now, before I wrap up talking about the campaign, I just really quick want to talk about the soundtrack. So let's get into that, because oh boy, is it a banger. Marty you've done it again, because you have sent Bungie out with a bang. HaloReach's soundtrack is absolutely incredible. Every song was placed in the perfect spot to make each moment even more memorable and have so much more of an impact. But despite all of that, I think I'm still gonna go with Halo 2's soundtrack being my favorite. I'm sorry, it's just so good. But HaloReach, your music has a special place in my heart. Now, if I had to pick a favorite from the soundtrack, easily Long Night of Solace. It's just so good. We get over 11 minutes of that sweet, sweet goodness. Oh, also a shout out to The Pillar of Autumn. That part of the soundtrack, absolute banger as well. Moving on.
5 lives left.
Now, keep in mind, I don't play every multiplayer game mode under the sun when it comes to Halo. This is typically the case for pretty much every Halo game I've ever played. Well, except for Infinite, but that was because I was starved for content. So I'm really only going to be focusing on the game modes that I played, that I really enjoyed and had a lot of fun with. And what better game mode to start with than Living Dead or Infection? Infection is a 12-player game mode where 8 players are tasked with surviving as long as possible, and the other 4 are meant to stop them and bring them over to their side as the Living Dead. Now, this was easily one of my favorite game modes to play with my friends. I absolutely loved Infection. I played it all the time. It's probably the game mode that I have the second most amount of playtime in, and it's just pure fun. I mean, you get a random loadout in each game, and you just make do with it. Now let's talk about the game mode that I played the most of, SWAT. SWAT is kind of like a hardcore TDM from Call of Duty. You spawn in with no shield or motion sensor and use weapons like the DMR to take out your opponents. Well, also the Magnum. SWAT isn't only my favorite mode in Reach, but Reach is the Halo game where I love SWAT the most. And it's where I got into SWAT. And it was all thanks to those sweet, sweet 3 letters. DMR. That's right, Battle Rifle, move over because I got a new favorite gun and it's the DMR. Whether I was playing by myself or I had friends, I was always down to play SWAT. Funny enough, SWAT itself is one of the reasons why I primarily played HaloReach over the current COD game of the time. And it was the game mode where I practiced my aim the most, seeing as how in SWAT, when you get headshots, it's a one-shot kill. So you have a higher incentive to go for headshots. Hey, and speaking of headshots, let's talk about Headhunter, another game mode that I absolutely adored. In Headhunter, when players are killed, they drop a skull. You need to collect these skulls and bring them to designated skull receptacles, aka that spot where it's like a white ring. You know the one. But watch out, if you get killed, you drop all your skulls. So, you know, don't get killed. First team to 25 skulls wins the game. I always thought that Headhunter was a goofy, fun, but also kind of competitive game mode in my opinion. Like, you really start to sweat your ass off hoping that you don't get killed carrying a shit ton of skulls. And the game mode reminds me of another one that I love, Oddball. In Oddball, players attempt to grab a skull and hold onto it for as long as possible. First person to hold the skull for 2 minutes wins. Now, this one got insane, okay? This one would make it where you'd either have really good games or absolutely terrible ones, and it all depended on your team if you weren't playing with a group of friends. Because sometimes people don't care about the objective and then they just go and try and kill enemies. So you're sitting there with the oddball like, shit, I can't use my gun or my abilities. Oh my god. But yeah, Oddball's great. And now the final mode that I didn't really play as much as the other ones, but it's still a good time, is Crazy King, which is just like a King of the Hill variant. You know, the location shifts every 30 seconds. The first person to spend 100 seconds in an uncontested area wins. It's good fun. Not my favorite, but I enjoy it. All in all, Reach had a solid multiplayer. I mean, it had 13 modes if you include the variants, and 8 really solid maps. Hey, I was able to spend countless hours in this game's multiplayer, and I enjoyed every minute of it, so pretty damn good to me.
Firefight.
Firefight. Just you and a group of friends against unrelentless waves of Covenant. All you gotta do is select the map, hop in, select your loadout, and get started. In my opinion, Reach is where Firefight reached its peak in terms of fun, quality, and design. You got 10 maps and 5 classes, and they kept things simple. You know, you just fought waves of enemies. Ordnance drops would be available for you to pick up. It would contain a rocket launcher, a sniper rifle, just a lot of powerful and cool weapons. You could even change the difficulty, and there was even a leaderboard where you and your friends could compare high scores. The goal was simple: survive and rack up as many points as possible. God, I miss this game mode. They did it so dirty in Halo 5 Guardians. It was nowhere near as fun as it was in Reach. Like, holy crap. Yeah, I don't have a whole lot to say about Firefight. It's a perfectly fun game mode, and I highly recommend playing it. You get a lot of hours and a lot of fun out of it. Also, you get to drive vehicles, and that's fun too.
Heavy weapon drop.
I'm gonna be honest, I don't think a whole lot needs to be said about HaloReach's Forge. It is just flat out fantastic. I remember coming home from school and hopping on the 360 just to wind up playing Forge for hours with some of my friends. We'd either be coming up with our own game modes, creating our own narrative within the sandbox, RIP to my Rock family, I miss you guys every day, or just dicking around seeing what goofy shit we could pull off. The default Forge map has a ton of space to build unique setups and has just enough preset stuff in it for people to just have fun exploring and role-playing. Reach just had a better Forge than the others by taking what 3 had and improving on it. I think 4 and 5's Forge was incredibly detailed and offered a lot when it came to developing maps and game modes, but Reach overall just had a much better balance of design and fun. And that's probably 2 of the best things you could have for a Forge. In conclusion, Reach has tons of memorable and iconic moments within its campaign that make it easy to come back to even today. The multiplayer had a ton of fun game modes that provides countless hours of fun, whether you're playing a party mode like Infection or something a bit more aggressive like Swat. Firefight is a perfect wave-based survival mode to play with friends, and Reach's Forge is the perfect sandbox to stretch those creative muscles and goof around with your friends without being overwhelmed by all the settings and options that the Forge modes that came after it provide. Listen, if you haven't played Reach yet, I highly recommend doing so. And you may not get the same experience with the MCC version, but you'll still have a great time. After the lackluster Halo Infinite, I think now's the best time to go to Halo's backlog to scratch that Halo itch that Infinite couldn't. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is something that I've been wanting to make for a really long time, and I hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know if you want to see more videos like this. I know it takes a bit longer, but hey, I promise it won't take as long as this one. Also, let me know down below what your favorite Halo game was and some of the fond memories you have of it. I'm always interested to hear about that sort of thing. But anywho, thank you guys so much for watching. Drop a like if you enjoyed it. And I noticed that about 94% of y'all aren't subscribed. So if you could do that for me, that'd be greatly appreciated. More videos are on the way soon. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.